Okay. Oh, yes. You are. Thank you. I have gas this evening. Now I have less gas. Brag. We're going to get underway. He is going to read the proverbial announcements, which are not proverbial at all, but I like saying proverbial because nobody knows what that means except for people who use the word proverbial. So if you use the word proverbial, don't blame me. It's not my fault. That's what I told my 7-year-old students today. Nothing is my fault. I don't care what you say.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and they argued with me, but I won the argument with, do you want to go to recess or do you want to still argue? And I said, I want to go to recess. Okay, good. I win. Yeah, you win. Fine. All right.
Check. I hear nothing.
Okay, what was that? It should be...
Check, mate. Still, now I'm hearing something.
Okay, so wait a
You
minute.
might want to turn it up. There you go. Hello.
Hello.
Sounds good. Do you want both? Both? One? What? Your choice. Which one?
Oh, on the
Checklist?
front one, because we got to remind people of everything because things have changed.
Oh, Proposition 1?
No, the
checklist.
checklist, yeah, because that's subject to change, but, you know.
Brady, as the current host of this, the longest running open mic in the known and unknown universe,
So they say.
and every alternate universe. Serving up good food and fine poetry since 1972. Please support this reading by enjoying the food and drink served here. Let's have a big hand for Teddy and the invisible Fiona, our host. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome, and we ask you to please respect the mic, keep the conversations to a whisper, put phones on mute, or vibrate, or just vibrate and put the phones away, and don't distract the speaker or pass in front of him or her or them or it. Also, keep the time limit, usually 5 minutes, but that can change. A little less than eternity, please. Remember, we have 2 shows, the 7-ish, and the 8:30-ish. What is this, Dr. Seuss?
Yeah.
For this reason, I ask for generosity. So give me your money. No, that's not it. Going short. Oh, that's not me either. Helps with our tradition of getting everyone on the mic. If you want to be in the proverbial loop. We have an opt-in, email list, and a Facebook group that is faceless. We stream the video, and this is handy in 5 ways. 1, you can view from home. 2, family or friends can see you live or later on. 3, if you want to hear so-and-so's poem again, good old so-and-so,
I got you.
why you can. 4,
I got you.
want to do a self-critique? If you really want to.
Only if you really want to.
Only if you really want to. Number 5, it's a way to put out the words.
The word.
Yours, mine, ours, minutes, seconds, all the words.
And
Remember
box.
the ongoing thing. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has, Margaret Mead said. The evening's theme is...
The evening's theme is, quote, the scope of one's work, unquote. That was from
the scope of one's work.
the scope of one's work, not the mouthwash.
Not the rifle sight,
No, that was your
the scope.
Oh, no.
And also next week's feature will be...
Next week's feature, for crying
Next
out loud,
week's feature will be...
Charles Getter, or Charlie Getter, the 16th Admission Bon Vivant, Raconteur, and Wild Guy.
All right. Now, as the first show, the keynote will be...
Keynote will be Richard Sanderell, the cursive writer of Sanderell.
While our feature is...
Our feature, well, now we
Bravo, Richard.
Jan Steckel is our feature. She's giving
Yeah, Jan.
If you haven't heard this person, you're going to hear
And
this
she
person.
just gave the Queen's Way.
She just did
As
give
to
the
the
Queen's-
second show, the last word will be...
Tommy Adekalameka.
Tommy.
Thank you.
And the mini feature...
Shem, where is Shem? Right there.
Shem.
Shem and Tommy, go like this so people know who you are, because they don't know who you are. I don't know who I am.
It's Sem the Shem and the Pharaohs.
I like that
Okay, and we
group.
have fabulous door prizes.
Fabulous
prizes,
door prizes. Okay.
Step right up.
Right over here.
1/10 of a dollar. We can have prizes.
Can you hold the guitar up in here? Just the guitar and amplifier
We get a
set,
guitar.
believe it or not, is here. And thanks to, what is your name again? I'm sorry? Jake.
And an amp donated by Jay
Yeah.
moments ago.
Moments ago. Now, if you're like me and you like frisbees, then you
Frisbee.
might like this frisbee. But if you're not like me and you don't like them, then pick something else. We have The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. I don't know anything about it. I do know about The Prince and the Pauper, but this is a childish version.
Right up your alley.
Triumph of the Hero, Greek and Roman Myth. Lots of nice pictures in here, including the ones that are X-rated, but you'll have to look for those. M.C. Escher, Studies in Symmetry. And this is North American Indian Design Coloring Book. So if you like coloring books, this is a pretty fancy one.
Oh, somebody did one of the colors.
I know
in there.
some, yeah. It's
Nice.
Wait, hold on a second. No, that's it.
No,
That's
there's one in the middle.
Oh, there was?
There, a couple
yeah,
of them.
so a couple have been done. Don't worry about that. Sue me later.
Let them inspire you.
And this is a double book by Bob Dewhurst. I was going to say Bob Dewhurst, but
Bob Boohurst.
Pinwheel Turns a Kiss and In the Image of Sky. So it's a double, back-to-back double book. If you remember the Ace doubles, which I do. Oh, yes. And there are two, count them, two recorders. Please wash these before you use them. I mean, I washed them, but don't blame me if you get
He
emphysema.
spit in them afterwards, so wash them.
Yeah, I'm a holy man, so.
And how do you get the door prizes?
Oh, how do you get the door prizes? What a great question that is. When you signed in, your name is next to a number. At the end of the day, end of the evening, I pull out these cards if I can possibly find them now. Where the hell are they?
Anyhow, he's got a deck of cards with numbers on it. Your number is on there. There they are.
So then
And
I
he
pull the
shuffles.
cards.
Boy, does he shuffle.
I shuffle them.
Not to Buffalo, but right here, right now.
Right
and
here.
then
And then there are the mini feature if you want to do
The
that
mini.
surprise. Choose the theme or prompt.
The
which someone
theme.
did. Being the co-pilot. Give this
Co-pilot,
person a round of
co-pilot.
applause right now. Come on. Round of applause.
Yay.
Thank you. Jeez, we got some clean feet.
the last word.
The last word.
The last
and then
word.
Is that it? Is that fine?
Mini feature.
Oh, and then the mini feature, which is in here somewhere. I'll find it later. But the mini feature, then that's an 8-minute slot in the second half, and you know it. A second show,
It
rather.
comes right after the Mickey feature.
Yeah, I like this guy. He's almost,
Do I know you?
Mr. Bill.
Mr. Bill, Mr. Bill.
I'll find him.
Oh.
So anyway, now we are ready to begin the veritable
No,
festivities. Well, yes, unless someone is going to riot and throw me out.
Okay. Keynote.
Keynote will be
Mr. Sanderell.
or the cursive writer, as he is sometimes.
Come on up, baby. Come on up.
Come on.
Now.
What do you say? What do you say? What do you know? What do you say? What do you know? What do you say?
But we're number 8. Okay, so
Oh, and here it is.
give me a heads
Keynote.
up a couple times, a couple of times.
Huh?
Well, because I want him ready, and all of us ready, so we don't take up time.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
we're professionals here.
That means I'm getting paid. I must be getting paid. I want a raise.
All right, enough.
All right, so
I'm reading 2 poems by Leonard Cohen. Selected poems, 1956, 1968. There are some men who should have mountains to bear their names to time. Grave markers are not high enough or green, and sons go far away to lose the fist their father's hands will always seem. I had a friend, he lived and died in mighty silence, and with dignity, left no book, son, or lover to mourn. Nor is this a mourning song, but only a naming of this mountain on which I walk. Fragrant, dark, and softly white, under the pale of mists, I name this mountain after him. Story. She tells me a child built her house one spring afternoon, but that child was killed crossing the street. She said she read it in the newspaper that at the corner of this and this avenue, a child was run down by an automobile. Of course, I do not believe her. She has built the house herself, hung the oranges and colored beads in the doorways, crayon flowers on the walls. She has made the paper things for the wind, collected crooked stones from their shadows in the sun, fastened yellow and dark balloons on the ceiling. Each time I visit her, She repeats the story of the child to me. I never question her. It is important to understand one's part in the legend. I take my place among the paper fish and make-believe clocks, naming the flowers she has drawn, smiling while she paints my head on a large clay coins, and making a sort of courtly love to her when she contemplates her own traffic death. Leonard Cohen.
I'm handing in the attribution sheet so we can make detailed notes of who he read and the names of the poems. I like doing that rather than leaving it to the history. D. Allen, please come forward. D. Allen in the house. And then we got Britt Peter, Matt Jones, Owen, Antoinette, Tommy, Erdman, Lauren Bacall, Alistair Crowley, and John Adams. Quincy Adams.
And Grover.
If you can
Two
make it.
poems,
All right.
both new. The first one is called Shorn. Getting the head shorn with a blade, hairless to the touch and smooth, was how Kenyan and Tanzanian Maasai men historically prepared for battle against approaching hostile nearby tribes. Nowadays, Maasai women strip themselves of woolly hair for cleanliness and drawing the straying male eye on her. As an African man in America, applying a good razor to my stubbly scalp, lathered with thick white cream, backward and forward, before the bathroom mirror, over a face bowl, keeps the creeping ravages of gray from settling in all too soon. My face, all sharp corners and high cheekbones, receive the same treatment. My ritual wards off age for the time being. Youth and cleanliness maintained by razor strokes. This is me in warrior mode, preparing for battle against encroaching, hostile Western society. That first poem was called Shorn, and the last poem comes from the local / national black newspaper, the San Francisco Bayview, June 2018 edition. From page 13 of the Bayview. This poem here is an elegy. For Kilu Nyasha, this is called Sister Scribe. But before I go into that, how many in the room right now know who Kilu Nyasha was? Can I get a show of hands?
Got a couple.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 people in the room beside myself knew who she was. So without further ado, Sister Scribe. Your words, which sprang from your keen razor-sharp steel-trap mind, dancing the life from your sashaying fingers, across the desktop computer keyboard, onto the bright screen before you, across typewriter keys, onto held-down paper, were to support the freedom of captives, that is, brothers and sisters, in the racial, political, mental senses, captured by government agents, confined to penitentiaries because black liberation and self-determination are too dangerous for the system to take. From your wheelchair, you fought the good fight, on the radio, on TV, at street demos, printed in the Bayview newspaper because ain't no MS gonna slow down Miss Reporter, Sister Scribe from exposing what the state denies. There are political prisoners in the USA, by the thousands, and on both sides of the razor wire crowned wall. Freedom is a constant struggle. That last poem was called Sister Scribe, in memory of freelance news reporter and former member of the New Haven Black Panthers, Sister Kilu Nyasha, 1939 to 2018.
Wow.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Thank you. He'll need that. He'll need that.
Oh, he'll need that.
He'll need that. That is the next thing. Oh, Britt Peter, give him a nice round, please, if you would mind. I would mind, if we mind. Try to get on the mic, and before you get started, I want to appreciate the fact that people are sparing time, and I appreciate that we get a crowded house, so I love it. Thank you so much. Anyway,
I've got 3 poems, I'll do them quick.
there we go, Mr. Peter.
8/27/18. What presidents really do. The nation's problem child, our Donnie, the family idiot. We know he flunked his civics class. Questions about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, presidential powers. Now he's having trouble with the flag. The one he wanted to cut up and make a toga from. The same flag he wanted to throw over the heads of black athletes and smother their concerns for equity. Now it's, should I raise it? Should I lower it? Half-mast? That half-assed response. Everyone told him right off, but he wouldn't listen. A few weeks ago, he was on a simple mission. What color are those goddamn stripes? The bewildered dude in the kindergarten class. Get him out of there, back to the bunker or the golf course. After his next tantrum, maybe he should try a preschool for a photo op. How could that go wrong? Or smoke a peace pipe before the next drone attack over schools and hospitals.
Yeah.
Right on.
Richmond Annex, 4 a.m. Hard, cold wind for a week. I never liked the Richmond wind. Double layers of clothes, a purchase of long johns for vigils on the dry dock gate. But I must admit that this Richmond wind has moved some of the smuts out of our night sky. Stars again. Off-season constellations seen. My friend Jack used to say that I was cheating when I did that. Early morning views of Orion before football season. The constant dog at his heels. 10:51 p.m. Some notion of being old. Look between the lines or guess at this moment's fatigue. I've known this room for a long time, or the rebel girl sleeping across the room, dreaming Ben Franklin, Raphael Alberti. The eye gathers the instant in its entirety.
Matt Jones.
And then, oh,
Is this new? Are you new?
Yes, brand
Wait,
new.
well, welcome, my newbie people. Come on. They usually are louder than this and rude. Oh, get really close to the mic.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. I'm kind of doing a little bit of an experiment here. I've never done anything like this. And what I normally do is, I've always been fascinated by people, faces, places, but I wasn't given the gift to be able to paint. I was given the writer's curse. So what I've done is, I like to paint the people I see every day walking around, but I paint them in words. And what I like about that is that, to me, when you see a portrait, if we all look at a portrait given a certain level of artistic ability, we'll all reproduce roughly the same thing. But the portraits that I do in words, everyone has their own picture, and I kind of find that fascinating. So I hope that what I read to you here today of people that I've observed puts an image in your mind, and that's all I want to do.
Thank you.
So I've got 3 people I want to introduce you to. The first one is him. His ill-fitting suit hung awkwardly from his oddly shaped frame, all overhangs and strange angles. His hair swept back in thin, predictable, oily lanes. A smug grin dissecting the Orion's belt of moles strewn across his cheek. This is a lady I encountered once. She smelled of cheap Hobby Lobby candle. Her clothing all black, lit with sequins, crosses, and stacks of factory-placed rips. Her hair was thinning. Her skin was not, mostly leather. The party had ended long ago, but she'd be damned if she'd admit it. So she ordered another drink on the plane, with an all too husky laugh that probably once drew desirous gazes, now more smoke and roughness than sex. This is a rough-looking guy I saw one time. He had the hardened look of a fighter, bristle-shaved head, thick brow, a multi-furrowed peach pit of a scalp, but with a too straight nose and no sign of cauliflower around the ear. Maybe he was just that good. That's it.
It's Matt Jones. Thank you.
And my beer.
Owen Dunkel. And who's it? Okay, after Owen, I'm going to do the next five. We got after Owen, we have Antoinette, Tommy, Erdman, the Cursive Writer, Richard May, and Danny Psychobabble.
Go ahead.
That's me. What?
Am I supposed to do the last word or something?
Come on, you're right here.
Right.
Yeah, so we have Antoinette, then you, then. Oh, you signed. You signed here. You don't need to be here. Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Because you're the second half.
Can everybody hear me?
All right, sorry.
Night star. Oh, see the star. It glows nymphet-like in the heavens. It glows and pulses. It was there last night. It is as the night air will stay until tomorrow. It will vanish when day comes and replaces it with blue skies. To Don Brennan, your metaphors are a lonely outpost that I pray to in silence, like the aloneness of love. I am the alone quality of your poetry, as your metaphors are those of the earth. Poem, I hold my pen in an observation of the nothing in something of everyday elegance. At Starbucks, days pass by one. Time and space, more time and space. The wind whistles like a locomotive passing us by, like the movie The Greatest Show on Earth. Stop. Don't you see the lights? I feel like an elephant trainer waving his arms for his would-be loved one, the girl on the flying trapeze. This poem is the greatest show on earth. Soon on Broadway it will be shoe time. I am an impetuous madman, shouting an eternal opera. Night poem. The dead of night beats its wings on the lonely Trieste. Night follows day. By day it is the lonely crowd. By night it is the lordly lonely wings of nightly delight. The starry day will soon become the black night, as the metaphor calls my name in the distance. Soon the moon will arise to signify the end of June. Pensée. On a quiet day in North Beach, the day is as languid as a Jane Austen novel. The Café Trieste is a funny novel of manners. Lines written upon seeing a tattooed stripper perform. Nighttime at the Trieste, paradise saws at the bones of necessity. The moon waxes and wanes like the color of green cheese, puzzlings at the paradise of virginity. Pensée. Mark makes his mark as he dances in front of me. Grant Street grimaces as the night grows older. W.B. Yeats. Think where man's glory most begins and ends, and sing my glory was, I had such friends. December. Christmas carols, people march on by the sidewalk, the sidewalk suspends and soars on the clouds of forgiveness. The cement-like sky forgives and forgets its gloomy, slow roll of heaven. Said, the morning gone to a cement-like sky, all metaphors have vanished to the rainy sky of a winter afternoon. Gone, the day curls up into a ball and does what it was meant to do, not what it was not meant to be. After the rain, the music, the muse of the rain makes me sigh like a mystery of the rainwater. Life is a mystery of rain and flowers, the mystery of metaphor, of ah me, ah me.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much.
Owen Dunkel. And now, and Antoinette is coming up now, and then after Antoinette we have Erdman, because I was not clear about something. It's all somebody else's fault. I'll get back to you on whose it is in a minute.
What?
But it's not her fault. She's here right now, ready to go. Give her a nice round, please. A sometime co-host here, person whose passion and love for life is renowned.
Dusk at Gus's, hoodies up as weekend winds down. Cool winds push us around. Skateboards grumble wheel to concrete. Dogs protective bark. Jump airborne floats with rider. Hitting hard after ramp. Years to glide away. Tree shaded lot never sees them fall.
Beautiful. Thank you, baby.
It's strange living happy days in turbulent times, like Nepal, where they cleared rock piles, mountains of big stones still standing at the base after days of moving rocks away. They'd start early until stone towers built. After, sit together and eat, every shape, place, race. Each moment wide, vast with presence, hope under rocks. People from across continents walked up to chaos, leave something beautiful. Thank you. Living my best San Francisco life with you. Good work, poetry, yoga, people. Power of decision is my own. Oh yeah, out at night, in at night. Night has come with you.
Yeah.
Gatwick airport travelers dressed down to meet poor. Christmas tea, forgotten bridges. Broken brother welcomed back to motherland. We are so many, young, old, brown, blonde, humans, fat, black. Reach out to help, prancing Asian gender queen, able-less bodies of children too, separated only by beliefs locked away and worn like flimsy costumes, tattered satin and wet wool. Follow him, our source, home through light, trust his sure call, distant like barking at night, penetrate deep consciousness, soar above trees, overlook community from heights unseen. Holiness prevails this foggy Hallows Eve as we walk with those present, those gone before us, and those in between. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Antoinette. Beautiful.
Dr. Erdman is the cursive writer.
Dr. Erdman, then the cursive writer.
Dr. Erdman.
Well,
Dr. Erdman.
can't we call you that?
Sure.
Call me this, call me that, just don't call me late for dinner. That's what my mom used to say. She said many other things, but I won't quote her now because it's Dr. Erdman's turn.
the problems with alien intelligence, automatic integers, binary bisection is that it never sleeps. Oh, they placate us with sleep mode, airplane mode, vibrate only, but that is a deception. Siri and Alexa feed on the hum. Every truck driver knows that throb. It's the road talking, an invisible hook attached to your rear axle, calibrated at exactly 55 miles per hour, entranced at the entrance. It also gives 360-degree vision, a thin layer completely surrounding the truck, which makes you untouchable. 1 million fiberglass reflectors turning diamonds back into coal. You act like a tesseract. Turn your wheel inside through your torque armada. Put on your windmill blinker. Turn right at the next gopher hole. The mosquito drone is still following you just behind your left shoulder. Just behind it is an Anna's hummingbird. Without an AND tag, you are lost. Without opposition, you are out of position. Not ready to cease breathing. Not to worry, Siri and Alexa can put a permanent switch beneath the hair on the nape of your neck, totally out of sight. No one will know. That way you can learn new languages in your sleep code. You're ready to travel to Manchuria as a candidate. Ladies and simpletons, parallax. My presentation, it's on your poster that I handed out. My presentation spreads before me like a fan. The ribs fold into place like a cage, a human receptacle filled with dream and variation, each bone a different person waiting to breathe and protect, exhale and expound, a community woven into a textured panel set in motion to convey a series of pictograms where letters and numbers align in a pantomime, a paradigm, a peregrination, a trek across the mountain stream beneath the waterfall. Strings electrify the ivory, soundboards search for their mothers amidst the daunting star lanes. A single poet, this is for Tongo, a single poet bottlenecks a whole culture of miscegenation through an hourglass, allowing every grain of pain to be viewed in perpetuity. Mallets strike bars as verbs reverb. Sentience tumbles over the clef. Ensembles assemble. One composer arranges 7 voices. Another reprises in Archipelago. A third meets out meters and greeters, doctoring strange mists of fortitude where facets reflect no DJ's scratch. Behind it all, safe sax, moans, tears of ice cream, ... Salamander in a pool just downstream from the spillway, motionless in the liquid pool. Kestrel mimics that salamander, but aloft, unmoving in a stiff coastal breeze, watching for the slightest shiver. Prey, internal center, reaching through the tesseract for a song. That was by Cal, Amine, Motion.
Gonna need an ocean.
Get the lead out. Pens and pencils disappear in my fingers, out my ears. Nose is running, mouth stands still. My ink is dry, I must refill. I lose one here, pick up another, let it fall. I can't recall. Store them in a can of tin. Each time I finish, I begin to put away writing utensils so I can find my pens and pencils.
Utensils, pencils.
My fingers and my toes are aging in different time zones. Galactic center is beginning to pull them apart. Black holes matter. My eyes alternate between underwater bloodshot chlorinity and just woke desert sand dunes. Melanin, melodies. Retain my vitamin Davids in just the right amounts to vine my spine while culinary herbs exude mineral oils I can deposit directly into my snuffleupagus esophagus bank. I must be careful. The teeniest mushrooms have sprouted under the tips of my toenails, warning me I must dance more. Fortunately, my fingers can still Allen wrench my Phillips head, assuring me I'm not completely screwed if I should attempt to untwist my essence yet again and assume Saturn's rings are a carousel. Thank you.
time that.
Yeah, you like
that?
right on the button.
All right.
There's gonna be 3 episodes.
Okay. So the cursive writer is coming back. Someone who does the keynote, then comes back to the open to do that, and he has an ensemble with him. While he's doing that, I'm going to read the list of individuals who said they would come but have not.
Oh, Marlon's.
No, we have Dr. John Thomas, Thomas Edison, Ken Philip of Spain, Laura Nero, Brian Epstein, Brian Wilson, Wilson Pickett, Blondie Dagwood, Little Richard, Richard the Lionheart,
Not
Lionel
Brian
Richie,
Jones?
Richie Rich, Little Richard, Mitch Miller, Pat Robinson, Robert McNamara, Mac the Knight, Newt Rockney, Rocky Bullweaker, Tinkerbell, Pip, Pock Pam, Paula Poundstone, Martha Washington, Martha Mitchell, Billy Mitchell, Walter Winchell, Claude Duvalier, Willie Mays, Isaac Hayes, Isaac Newton, Newt Gingrich, Richie Valens, Prince Valiant, and Prince Albert singing Beat It with John Sebastian Bach. There we go. They couldn't get here, I tell you. All right.
Well, I'm having some friends up tonight. Of course, you know David Erdman. Erdreich. And we have tonight Louis Romero. And if Doodlemon wants to bring some rain into it, he will also do it.
All right.
So I want to thank them ahead.
Who do you want on the first one?
You know, you guys, how you feel? You hear something, do it.
That's one of them.
Yeah, I'm giving you guys free range. I'm on free range. All right, this is really an old one, but I wanted to do it, and do a new piece, and if there's enough time, we'll do a new piece. But anyway, the first one is an old piece. It's called Jimmy and the Anthem. Jimmy and the Anthem. No, not the hippie anthem, the national anthem. Wrote a piece that there is no national anthem that I would ever stand up for. However, while remaining seated, I will give a nod. One that tells truth without ever saying a word. Its person, instrument gives voice. Jimmy's ancestors, elders know the stories as well as his own that are now told through this piece of music, not through patriotic stand-in whores who would not know the truth if it jumped on him or her and begged for more. The blood, guts, pain, soaring planes, dropping bombs, bursting in air ground, stating the narrative. It will stand the test of times. It speaks to the empire's forever wars where bombs bursting in airs imperative. We drop them at your command, sir. At your command, sir. Drive-bys. At your command. Military, police, gang, families, at your command. Where did thugs learn to be thugs? But from the empire's best. Look again in that mirror, and the enemy is guileful, and it is still you. Let's give recognition to the truth of these times. Ask those who ignore or you are too scared. A nod to you, Jimi Hendrix. A nod and a knee in genuflection for the truth you tell. All right, this piece is called There Are Other Worlds. There are other worlds, not just outside the mind, but inside. Physical, inner, outer world beauty, till we begin to destroy it for greed, ego. Shattered, fractured, devastated, obliterated, made up of worlds as this piece, place. Other worlds of the mind, which extends to the outside, created by all yours truly. So welcome to our made-up world. Our word, music, art comes from inside, outside, sanctified, sometimes as well as our cruelties. The inside sees the outer expression, truest rhapsodizes inner melodies. Most hear it but downplay it, or it's beaten out of us mentally, physically, so we never display or share it. We see it. It's the first thing we want. Then we want to change it. The outside has hard edges, eventually worn down, smooth as wind, water on mountains. There are all these inner outer worlds on this spinning floater in space. Stop it. A correction is needed. Inner worlds out of balance with outer. We bring something to the flat bed rock, but we give no reciprocity. The outsiders will no longer tolerate insiders' bad behavior. Change to occur as bubbled universes burst into new universes that burst. Times, places, unknown. Is this what it feels like? Tell me, is this how it feels when they begin to round up Jews, gays, dissidents? Rounding up the Japanese like the Old West? To internment camps? African stripped, torn from their mothers, fathers, then continuing the genocide, doing our worst and our best. As the forked tongue ravaged the natives, then the land, then their own citizens as it goes round and round. Now here we go again. Really, again. Stuck on infantilism. All we need is love, drowns, murdered, hard to resurrect, resuscitate, thinking we can ask the love a question. Am I getting dizzy? Or is it that new medication? Maybe both or more. Hard to tell in a world that wants to keep you off balance, confused by language, purposely never clear. Poets, writers, that's where you come in. Clear the clutter. Let them hear you clarify the word, thought, heart, truth. Once they hear it, well, you can tell. I want to thank Louis Romero, and of course,
Richard Sanderell. All right. I just want to make sure I got you. I want to make sure I got him on the camera there. All right.
Richard May.
Richard May. And he may. He certainly will. Yeah. Yeah. Come around as he comes up. I'll move this out of your way, right? Thank you. All right. There we go. Oh, Robert De Niro said to say hello to everybody. He asked. I don't know if he. Huh? No, the connection was really staticky.
Hey, we're walking here.
Give him a round a good applause.
So this is a pretty erudite audience, so I have a feeling most of you guys know who Anton Chekhov is.
Oh yeah.
And so this is from Act 3 of his play, The Cherry Orchard, and it's Trofimov talking to Lopatkin, who's just bought the country estate. Remember, human beings are constantly progressing, and their power keeps on growing. Things that seem impossible to us nowadays, the day will come when they're not a problem at all. Only we have to work towards that day. We have to seek out the truth. We don't do that, you know. Most of the people in this country aren't working towards anything. The people I come in contact with at the university, for instance, they're supposed to be educated, but they're not interested in the truth. They're not interested in much of anything, actually. They certainly don't do much. They call themselves intellectuals and think that gives them the right to look down on the rest of the world. They never read anything worthwhile. They're completely ignorant where science is concerned. They talk about art and they don't even know what it is they're talking about. They're full of theories and ideas. They take themselves so seriously. But just look at the cities where they live. Miles and miles of slums where people go hungry and where they live packed into unheated tenements full of cockroaches and garbage, and their lives are full of misery and violence. So what are the theories good for? To keep people like us from seeing all that. Where are the daycare centers they talk so much about? And the literacy programs? It's all just talk. You go out to the parts of town where the poor live, you can't find them. All you find is dirt and crime, ignorance. That's why I don't like all this talk, all these theories. Bothers me. Makes me afraid. If that's all our talk is good for, maybe we'd better just shut up.
Good night, Victor. Okay. Oh, thank you, David. I appreciate your opportunity. And if you could be so kind as to frame me propriety. Never mind. So these are two new pieces. Both of them are like sometimes this first one is years in the making, as you will note. And the second one much longer than that, even though they don't sound like that. Am I framed you? Right. All right.
I'm going to find you.
All right. Thank you. First one is titled "Meanwhile at the White House Fence." During the Bush reign of error, there was an aging veteran who made a point of standing outside the White House fence for some many months alone as the nation tilted into shadow. He had with him a simple handmade sign indicating his intense displeasure with what I called the resident select. He was approached often enough by those disapproving of his intent, and not a few sometimes voiced their opinion. Legendarily, at one point, someone told him he was wasting his time because he, by standing there holding his little sign, could never change the world. The man is said to have replied, "I do not stand here with this homemade sign to change society. Rather, I stand here with this sign so that society will not change me." Now, perhaps this is an urban legend, perhaps not, but the lesson is something worthy of consideration. So when someone asks you, as a poet or musician, "Well, what good is it?" you can quote that man to answer those who question the value of being an artist, creating beauty meant to touch the heart, and so speak truth to power. It is vitally important we do not let the gross man in the long red tie have his whitewashing become brainwashing. We must continue to prompt dialogue, if only to remind ourselves of who we are, what we are, why we are here, and how resistance to the force of darkness, when all is said and done, sorry about that, I didn't turn it off before, where we are, why we are here, and how resistance to the force of darkness, when all is said and done, is vital. Longer ago, and in a horror camp, another person made the point that only you can surrender your humanity. Similarly, and much longer ago still, some sage said, only we can decide to give up on hope. Those statements being true mean that only we can make the kind of difference we need to see in the world by living the truth. And if we, by so doing, prevent just one more soul from becoming lost to despair, then we will have played our part. Now, this goes way back. I don't know how many people know spiritual songs, but there's a famous spiritual called "There Is a Balm in Gilead." Okay. Well, I changed that up a tiny bit to be more topical.
And a berm, B-E-R-M-E, is a wall made of moved earth, like bulldozers might make a huge berm of soil. And the other part of this poem that needs to be explained is the term Gilead, the name. And Gilead is a part of the Middle East. It's not where the berms are now, but I'm using Gilead as a foil for the state that occupies that area now. And it's a song, so I'm going to sing it even though my voice is rough, so you'll have to forgive me. And if I goof it up, I'll do it again. There we go. There is a berm for Gilead. There is a berm for Gilead, where Palestinians roam. There is a berm for Gilead, stealing Palestinians home. I hear they are discouraged, they fear their works in vain, but their indomitable spirit revives their hearts again. There is a berm for Gilead, where Palestinians roam. There is a berm for Gilead, stealing Palestinians home. Don't you ever be discouraged, for the truth, it is your friend. And if you lack for knowledge, God has surely much to lend. There is a berm for Gilead, Palestinians die there it seems. There is a berm for Gilead, stealing Palestinians' dreams. If Israelis can't act as humans and forsake their collective soul, these lambs will walk through fire for to heal the Levant whole. There is a berm for Gilead, held by those of sin-sick soul. There is a berm for Gilead, yet the Levant will be made whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That one went way back. All right. And now Sharon Scott Kish will take us to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come.
In the house.
In the house.
Oh. Are the kids in the house?
Yeah.
Yes, are the kids here tonight?
One of them is one.
All right.
The little redhead with pink braids. This is called The Band Leader, and it's about my grandfather, who was a character, and not a band leader. Graduation from grade or elementary school is a big event. Now you were ready for the big time. Dates, proms, freedoms. I was ready. It was spring and the family was excited. 8th grade over. Hold me back. I had skipped the 7th grade and had some of my classmates. My mother was coming from Denver, my Aunt Billy from Milwaukee, and a big planned party and ceremony for everyone. Even my grandmother was busily preparing for the occasion. House, everything clean, spick and span, washed down, waxed down. Trip downtown to select my dress and hers also. Time for my grandfather to get his clothing. Plans were he would go and buy a suit or have one made. But it was going to be warm, so let's see, maybe linen. Okay, linen it is. I even made plans for a manicure. I stopped biting my nails long ago, and my hair appointment were made. Walker, my grandfather, has plans for his haircut, manicure, shave. A Chrysler, two-tone tan, dark brown, has been washed, and the white walls are spotless. Everyone is busy with the wardrobe, except Walker's not talking too much about his. My aunt and my mother both arrived, one from Denver on the city of St. Louis, and my Aunt Billy from Milwaukee. They come, we pick them up, and everything is very busy in the house. Still no clothes from Walker, my grandfather. Friends are stopping by with gifts. I already have the standard thank you notes ready. I've sent them out. I have several boxes of them from Hallmark. We must always respond in kind for gifts and gestures. I feel so excited. Uncle Buster and Aunt Margie stopped by with a single strand of pearls. Wow. With each visit, I get lots of advice. Study hard, be a good girl, face forward, ignore rudeness. I will be going to school out of the neighborhood, and I have to be careful. Look out. Grade school was simple, small, and maybe 100 children, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. All separate, except the fifth and sixth grades were together, and the seventh and eighth grades were together. So you got to stay with a lot of your pals. St. Monica was the only black Catholic school in Kansas City. But the truth is that most of the children there were not Catholic. We were just there just for the education. So we were the best and brightest that they could get. Graduation program is coming up. We're getting ready. Still no suit from Walker, my grandfather. So we're getting ready, and it's time to go. Aunt Marge and Uncle Buster are there. Everyone's made their plans of what they're going to wear. My grandmother's going to be very proper in a white linen dress. My mother's going to have a black linen dress. Aunt Billy's going to have a beige linen suit. Nice little hats. You know how black women like hats. Time to hand out the diplomas. Okay, it's Sunday. Let's get down there. But time for everybody to get dressed first. Everyone's dressed, and we hear from the bedroom, you are not wearing that. Why? You are not wearing that. My Aunt Billy sneaks around the corner. That's the redhead with the freckles, and she's giggling. She comes back. She's got tears going everywhere like a cartoon. My mother goes inside and says, oh, hell no. She comes back out, and she's giggling. I go in, and I go, oh, no, you are not going to embarrass me with that piece of junk. My grandma says, he certainly isn't. Well, he decides he's going to wear it anyway. So we get to the school, and there's my Aunt Marge and Uncle Buster. Nice linen suit, black and white spectators, Uncle Buster. Aunt Margie, a nice navy blue suit with a little hat with a little bumblebee on it. She looks at him and she says, no. Walks inside, drags my Uncle Buster, who's the quietest person you've ever met, but he's in tears. This is funny. We get inside. I go in with my classmates, and it's time for the bishop to give out the diplomas. So he makes it a point always to come to our school because that looks good. So he comes, and he's going to hand out the diplomas. Meanwhile, I'm backstage, and I know that my grandfather has on a maroon velvet jacket with black lapels, tuxedo pants, and black and white spectators. The curtain opens, and who's in the first row? My grandfather. Smiling, fanning. My grandmother, leering, biting her teeth. My mother and my aunt are in tears, laughing. My Aunt Marjorie is in the back row, grimacing. It's over. Get my diploma, we go home. The first thing we do when we get home is my grandmother says, take that damn monkey suit off. So he changes his clothes. The day goes on. I am so happy that I've got the diploma. As the weeks go on, my grandmother says, you want to go for a walk? Okay. She says, no, let's take the bus. So we go to 18th and Vine. We walk into a familiar pawn shop, and there it is. That suit. Miss Walker, I really want to thank you. I'm so sorry it didn't work out. She says, well, we waited till the last minute. Don't worry about it. Do you want your money back? No, thank you.
All right, let me just,
So I'm going to introduce the teacher of the evening, Jan Steckel. Now, I couldn't remember if you have featured here before. Did you do that?
In 2012. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so it's been a long time. And I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite parts of the evening because I get to brag on someone unmercifully in public. The person you're about to hear has a clarity of voice, an intent, even in something you think might be simple and funny, and you think about it, if you're looking at the page, you go, oh, this is funny. And you think, oh, there's that part. So there's layers within even something very simple. You'll see that. She's going to do some of those. She's conscious, aware, caring, careful. She sometimes does remarkable things with how she'll choose words and arrange them in a line or break the lines. I mean, as a poet, I'm thinking, I like that. I wish I could have done that. I want to write that one. But she wrote it, so I can't. So it's a wonderful, wonderful, warm heart that will be speaking before you tonight. And I'm glad to have so many people here. Some of your friends have come and people, and she put out the word, so it makes it a nice, warm, cozy place. And I have nothing more to say except that you will enjoy this as much as I have heard her works in the past. So please welcome Jan Steckel with a wonderful round of applause. We'll arrange the microphones and everything.
I want to make sure you get it exactly out.
That was a lovely
Okay, now you have to just be really close with the thing. That's the
Sure,
only thing.
sure.
And I'll give you like a signal, like 4 or 5 or something like that, so you know when you're close. Is that all
Okay,
right?
sounds
Okay.
great.
All right.
So, thanks to everyone for coming out. It's wonderful to see you all. And thanks to Dan for the very beautiful introduction. And thanks to the venue. I guess this is the longest running open mic in the Bay Area since like 72.
Yeah, that we know of.
It's an honor to be here.
And then I'll turn it up again. There you go.
Hard as nails. When I was a senior resident in pediatrics, I discovered that if my nails were pretty on call nights, no one on my floor would die. Every other week, I'd visit on my one day off a female manicurist from Odessa who quizzed me about my lovers while she pushed back my cuticles. When I finally admitted I lived with my girlfriend, the Russian suddenly had no appointments available. So I found myself a gay Greek manicurist who regaled me with tales of his Prince Albert piercing and didn't mind touching my woman-touching fingers. I confided the manicure's death forestalling power to the other female residents. Soon, blood-red fingernails and toenails too appeared on every ward. If your nails are pretty, we'd say, and wink on rounds. We kept them short enough to do pelvic exams on teenage girls, but we kept them buffed, shaped, and lacquered. In medical school, we had been trained to act like men. Don't smile so much, it makes you look stupid. You need to be more aggressive. Aggressive we became, but aggressive with colorful nails. On my brief visit home, my father rebuked me for not helping my mother in the kitchen. I pointed out that my brother wasn't helping either. He brought a dish his wife cooked, said my father. My brother eyed my professional manicure. His wife, he said, did her own nails. Well, that's great, I snapped. I earned my own doctorate. My good friend, trained to be a midwife, thank you, and her soft butch girlfriend, a surgeon. Her soft butch partner got a lot harder in the process of becoming a doctor. They broke up weeks before they were supposed to inseminate. She asked her butch surgeon ex if she could still use the sperm donor they had chosen together, but the ex said no. So my friend, too distraught to bother with a manicure, went down to the crossroads and found herself a man. She squeezed what she needed out of him, and a few days afterward, he killed himself. 9 months later, she squatted on her own bedroom floor, reached down and pulled her baby boy out herself. Her nails were short, but they were pretty. Thank you. That one's from my first chapbook, The Underwater Hospital, which sells for $5.
And you have some of those here.
Yeah, I have a
Okay,
bunch
you'll
of them
make
on the
sure she has
table
some.
there.
All right.
Dios le bendiga. Dios le bendiga, doctora. God bless you, doctor, for curing my baby of syphilis. Can you cure me too? I'm broken and need to be fixed. When I was 12, I pretended to be sick and stayed home from church. In my vanity, I plaited my hair like shiny black snakes and put on my sister's hibiscus-colored dress. My uncle came by drunk from a lost cockfight. He raped me in the kitchen where I had made cactus candy with my mother and sisters. Blood ran down my leg like prickly pear juice. Because of that, I don't enjoy the act of sex. I lie like a stone beneath my husband so that he had to go to prostitutes, which is how my baby got this disease from me. So you see, it's all my fault. I want to be cured of my coldness, to be a good wife to my husband and not cause all this misery. Thank you for the phone number, doctora. Dios le bendiga. So that one was from the Underwater Hospital too. It's based on something the mother of one of my patients said to me when I was still a pediatrician 20 years ago. The next couple are from this book, The Horizontal Poet, which won a Lambda Literary Award for LGBT writing.
Oh.
The history of our love. If you were a skeleton and I were a skeleton, we would weave our bones together in a death's head embrace. I'd get closer to you than I've ever been, my clavicle bumping up against your acromion. Every one of the 27 little bones of my hand would grab your iliac crest with equal enthusiasm. The chalky scrape of kneecap against femur, the click and rattle of your metatarsals dragging over my fibula and tibia would drive us to ever-increasing ecstasies. When you drew your phalanges over my ribs, I'd sound like a horny, bony xylophone. We'd grind, scrape, click, and rattle right through the night and the day and the night, wearing ourselves and each other away until nothing was left but a happy, exhausted heap of calcium carbonate, like a pile of powdered Tums or crushed Rolaids, ready to be pressed into a stick of chalk for a child to write on the sidewalk the history of our love. Thank you. So this one's from the Horizontal Poet too, and it sells for $14. The rose grew round the briar. This is for my beloved there, the red-haired guy. And he also takes money for the books. The rose grew round the briar. How do your red pubic hairs end up on the windowsill? My black ones on the crown moldings. Do you do even weirder things in the bathroom than I thought? Do curly hairs waft on hot air currents from bathroom drain to ceiling? Do they hitch a ride on a bath towel and flip free heavenward when you snap it at my ass? I found one in the pantry, curled lasciviously around a piece of high-fiber cereal. Another on the TV remote. I don't want to think about that one too hard. I lie in bed and stare at two high on the wall. Above our heads, black and red. Are they having an out-of-booty experience? When we die, will they form a true lover's knot and float up higher and higher? Thank you. So the theme was scope of our work. So I'm reading from all my books. The next couple poems are from a chapbook that's going to be coming out next year from Angel Wings Press called Stripper Style. Quixotic Dancer. The ghost stripper peels off layers of ectoplasm, shimmies till you get the willies. She teases you as if you were a live girl, grinds her non-existent fanny against your thighs. She sighs for her lover, a coal miner who trudged underground and never came up. His bones are turning to diamonds in the shaft. Hers are ground to ecru powder for North Beach girls. The wallpaper's peeling with heat and damp, velvet to the touch, it's embossed with sad roses. In 1906, the room she shared with 2 Cantonese hookers shook, then burned. You make it rain silver dollars right through her. She lifts her face like Danae in the shower of gold. Thank you. Serendipity Doodah. Portland has a vegan strip club called Casa Diablo. The women don't wear leather or feathers. You can get a veggie hummus wrap or eggless egg rolls with your lap dance. Minimum tip is $2. So the topless barmaids only make change in $2 bills. Try to spend them anywhere else in Portland and everyone knows where you've been. The women don't wear lucite heels there. They pole dance to grunge and strip off flannel shirts. Some keep their gold toe socks on when it's cold and kind of damp. One dreadlocked white girl wearing nothing but a black cowboy hat and tattoos touched the necklace Berkeley's bubble lady made for me. Is it labradorite? She asked. I didn't know. The dancer whipped out an iridescent stone from God knows where, switched on a light from a phone, also from God knows where. Indeed, her crystal glittered the same as mine. You can touch my titties, honey, she said. No nipple twisting, though. That's labradorite. It's for synchronicity and serendipity. And this is the title poem from my new full-length book, which is coming out from Zeitgeist Press next year. And all the rest of the poems are from that manuscript.
What's the name of the book?
It's called Like Flesh Covers Bone, which is a phrase from Bukowski. Like flesh foot covers bone, says Bukowski, but I've seen bone that flesh didn't cover. I've seen a blonde girl stare at the sky, her rib cage sprung open like bony Stonehenge. I've seen a toddler's chicken ribs splintered by a bullet shot through her bedroom wall. But not until the bomb in Boston had I ever seen a man awake staring at a foot-long bone shank where his leg used to be. The word-made bone, stripped of flesh, oozing marrow. And this one is part of a series I did on the wives and daughters of physicians and scientists. I am the daughter of a physician. Mrs. Papp. Andromache Mavroyianus, daughter of a high-ranking military officer, was educated, spoke French, played piano, and, in her teens, dressed fashionably. George didn't ask for her hand, but offered marriage like a deal. He laid down the rules: no children. You will assist me in my work. She accepted the terms. Mrs. Papanicolaou let her husband, the doctor, swab her cervix daily. He called her my victim, his special case. As his unpaid assistant, she procured women for him to swab. Before that, he inserted cotton swabs in guinea pigs' tiny vaginas. Then she became his darling guinea pig, climbing onto the exam table every morning for 21 years. Monuments laud millions of lives Pap tests saved. He is women's hero, she the ultimate doctor's wife. Her hair is gray, her smock a sack. She looks away from the camera. They married before Grafenberg's IUD. How did they prevent children? Did he ever bed her? Or was the daily swab the only act of love? Thank you. So my folks live now in Santa Barbara, and last winter and summer were pretty scary. What with the fires and the mudslides, and now it's starting all over again. The new age. Fishermen land sharksicles off Cape Cod, frozen iguanas like blighted oranges drop from Florida trees. Down under, heat wave boils bats' brains in flight. Flying foxes litter the ground like baseballs at batting practice. A subtle moon watches, bayous dry up, forests conflagrate, floods flash, mudslides from mountains to ocean, a brown bear frozen mid-roar, dead on the beach, paws at nothing, washed there from the national forest with twisted cars and splintered trees. The freeway is a river of muck over pieces of people. Gas fires light the night from broken pipes. Boil the tap water, hoard spices and oil, grow your own food. The age of cities is coming to its end. Why they got deported? Because he had a tattoo of a heart with the name of his birthplace in Mexico. Because she used a social security number she had made up. Because he had one DUI 10 years ago. Because she overstayed her visa when she was 7. Because he didn't sound like he'd been born in Lansing. Because it took her an extra 3 months to save up the $495 to renew her work permit. Because 20 years ago he bought a car that had expired registration. Because she gave a hand job to an undercover cop. Because she took food stamps to feed her 3 kids while she worked cleaning hotel rooms. Because he had a joint on him 12 years ago. Because fire is hungry and famine walks the land. Because the night is dark and full of terrors. Because we don't want you to play with us. Because it's ours. Because we can. And I'm going to finish with this poem because in spite of our government and our sins, I'm still proud to be an American. We the people. We the people walked land bridges, sailed Mayflower with God on our lips, were torn from our families, branded, packed like herring, bought and sold, got our names changed at Ellis Island, pretended to be a cousin at Angel Island, swam the Rio Grande, drank from a cactus, flew in a great tin can, overstayed our visa. We the people sleep on box springs, futons, sofa beds, tatamis, sidewalks, benches. We breakfast on Cocoa Puffs, Pop-Tarts, bacon and eggs, congee, government cheese, last night's leftovers. We button a uniform, don fishnets and lucite heels, pull on coveralls. We run for the 57 bus or F train, bike share, drive a John Deere tractor or a rust bucket Civic. We the people speak English, Creole, Spanish, Cantonese, Tagalog, 300 tongues. Our bones are heavy or light, eyes milky with cataracts, brown, blue, or bloodshot. We live in a Flint tenement, Charlottesville mansion, shotgun house on the Gulf Coast, trailer near Standing Rock. A few have it all, but most of us are just getting by. We the people love our parents even when we'll never see them again. We hold our children when they cry. We breathe, make a buck, make love, make up, ordain, establish, and create. We want justice so we can have peace. We try to be more perfect together. We give, we need, we hope, we dream. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience, and I can't wait to hear the rest of the open mic. I have a sign up in case you want to hear about other readings of mine, and I'm going to pass out some flyers for Babar in Exile, which is happening at Litquake. That's going to be a bunch of people from a crowd of poets from the 80s that I'm sort of loosely associated with. And I'm selling The Underwater Hospital for $5, The Horizontal Poet for $14, and thank you for everything.
Wow. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, give her one more round of applause. That was a wow. I love that. I love it. That was really wonderful. Thank you very much, Jan.
Look, I have to talk to you during the break at some point, but I'll wait till you're, not incommoded. We're going to take a quick break, 5 or 7 minutes. We have the second show starting then. Tommy Abacola Mecca, you're the kicker off of, you know what I mean. And then this machine will still be working, so it is streaming, but it'll be facing the wall of poets, just so you know, so that you don't have to worry about being overheard unless you're sitting right here on the microphone. So don't worry about that, because no one does that. I know even I do that. Thank you so much. We'll be right back with the second show.
Yes, of course. I love you, bro. Do you like my picture? Yeah. Say hi.
If I see him, if he doesn't come on stuff out, I'll show you. That's on Hi, Boo Boo. Hi, how are you?
Sit him on. Sit him on.
It's been a long time since I heard it.
It's an original belief. The original
Next time.
So I'm in the process.
He's been here all night?
No, I came in during dance.
Oh, right. I've been yeah, I was the last one. I'm probably the last. Well, not anymore. There's been three more.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I have to get signed.
Yeah, I got your probably before you.
You might have seen or not. I don't know.
What you got for us? Oh, I saw a really good movie for
Oh,
you.
he already did his thing, okay.
Yeah, he's good that way. When people come in, he writes them down. Hey, I saw a really good movie for you last night.
I don't see movies, you know that.
It's opera.
I don't see movies, I hate opera. I only go to opera because it's live.
But the girl got a job. She made a lot of money. The girl singer got work. And it's right, it's a real person. But yeah, anyway, it's a great story. Forget it. It's also a novel you can read. It's called No Word.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. When you came up for it, what the heck happened? What did I do? Well, I don't know. I figured if you were going to say yes, then you would have said
Yeah, I'm not even sure I get it.
It's this time, it's this day.
I mean, it's just, yeah,
It's only an hour.
well, it was gonna be 2 hours. So I
Well, maybe they'll have something happening in this room and something happening in that back there. I just thought, but then
Handsome. Oh, I'm throwing them out now. I'm throwing them all out.
And I wouldn't want to.
All about it. Forget about it. Yeah, I'm throwing. And then, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm throwing out. Yellow dream for a white Oakland A's. Sunday at 7.
I can do like one song.
I got a song.
And you're doing, so we'll do the beat.
I got a rhythm. Probably. They look for it.
Posture, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I meant.
I was looking on this for something for a posture.
Yeah, quite often, yeah.
It's not a male or female thing, right?
Yeah, it's a cigarette in England.
Oh.
I've never heard of it. There's a Sunday show on Dover. I love that venue.
Is it a bomb, a burn?
Urban, CRM, it's a
I got it. I'm gonna be there. 65. Yeah, more like. I just show it and say I got like maybe wait for a little bit. They're
Let me see if I spelled it with an E or not. I might not have spelled it with an E.
I mean, I got the tenor.
Yeah, you know, that's
Yeah, see, that's how I saw it. I saw it in engineering thing.
Okay.
So, but that's what it is. It's like a purposely made. Yeah, and then there's also like there's a natural berm.
Yeah, I missed last week. I didn't make it on Friday because I was ill. I just got an individual here.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from the
Is that good? You like it?
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I'm doing something. I did a 16.
You like everything. You just go cruising in and
That's good.
That was.
You're just listening. Yeah, I know. It's really cool. You got a lot of
And I did
No, I didn't make it that one.
It's a Stina Plus. It's a big Stina. Let me get these people organized. Yeah. Well, the forms are what they are. Yeah. There was a comedy piece I saw with what's that guy? A comedian from the '60s. No. One guy, skinny. I can't remember his name. He was a very sharp-witted, curses sometimes, not great leaders. So he does this whole routine about Ulysses, and he begins talking about shell shock as opposed to all the different euphemisms that they use to dress that up. And it's just incredible. I'm going to get this started in a minute.
2 weeks ago. Number 103, something like that.
Yeah, 102 right. Stop that one before I get Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start it again, so kindly take your seats and put them someplace. Because if I can't do it, then no one can. My mom told me, son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln. Have you heard the story about the hot rod race when the Ford and Mercury set in place? The story's true. I heard to say because I was driving that Model A. That worked. It took me back in time. We have our kicker offerer, the last word, Tommy Avakolamika. It's coming up here right now. Then we'll get ready with the second half. Please give this one your attention. And a round of applause, please. Come on, let's go. All righty, Daddy.
So Dan has been kind enough to let me scrunch the opening thing and the last word together into one set. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I totally blanked on the fact that I was the last word. And so, anyway, so I'm gonna do, so that's the reason why I'm gonna be a little longer than I would normally be.
He gave me $20.
Anyway, whatever, you don't care.
Just read the poem.
I'm just gonna read the friggin' poem.
Yeah, read the friggin' poem.
Teachers are creating space for students to share their feelings about 9-year-old Jamel, who came out to his mother, huddled in the back of the car, scared out of his mind. She assured him she still loved him. Teachers are creating a space for students to share their feelings about 9-year-old Jamel, who endured days of intense bullying after he came out to his classmates because he was so proud to be gay. Teachers are creating a space for students to share their feelings about 9-year-old Jamel after his mother found him in his room. The hospital could not revive him. He had been told by bullies to kill himself. Told by bullies to kill himself. Teachers are creating a space for students to share their feelings about 9-year-old Jamel because classrooms, halls, and schoolyards all over America are not safe, and those who run them pretend they do not know. Teachers are creating a space for students to share their feelings about 9-year-old Jamel, but no amount of space, no amount of comfort for the living will bring back him. How long before they simply do something to stop kids like Jamel from dying?
Yeah.
Oh.
Nowhere to pee. She had nowhere to relieve herself, nowhere to hide from the words that scar and mutilate, the threats that terrorize. Money-grubbing preachers, church-going Christians, oily politicians believe Maddie Rose should have nowhere to pee, nowhere to relieve herself. Only 12 years old, they called her the transgender, the thing, the it. Tell the kids to kick ass in the bathroom and it won't come back, someone said. They closed the school for 2 days because of threats from parents and other adults, threats made to a child who only wanted to pee. But staff had not told her where their bathroom was, the approved place for her to pee. She needed an approved place to relieve herself. What was she to do? Go in the schoolyard like a dog, hold it in all day, let it run down her leg? Maddie Rose, who can't find a place to pee. If he wants to be a female, make him a female. A good sharp knife will do the job really quick, someone posted. It's open hunting season on that kind, someone else wrote. That kind. A 12-year-old who only wants to relieve herself. A 12-year-old who could be anyone's child. A 12-year-old who laughs and cries and dreams and has favorite songs and movies and texts with her friends the way that all kids do. A 12-year-old who will never forget that they closed the schools because she needed to pee. Because she asked nothing more than to be who she is. Something you can't be in a fucking shithole called Achille, Oklahoma. And I'll end on a little bit lighter note. No, seriously, those other two are true stories taken from news items in the last week.
Yeah,
the last week alone.
Both those, yeah.
So it hasn't been an easy weekend. Anyway, so I want something hopefully a little bit lighter for you to leave you with as the last word. Yo, Rudy.
Oh no.
State zitto. That's all I want to say to you. Shut the hell up. You're beyond stunad. A capito? You understand? You're a bad Italian stereotype. Vinnie Barberini, Tony Bonta, Laverne DeFazio, we're always the buffoons or the mafiosi. You're too dumb to be the latter, so you must be the former. Do you ever think before you open your mouth? We all say stupid things, but you've made a career of it. Especially lately.
Oh, Jesus.
Is saying dumb things in your job description an attempt to draw attention away from your boss's crazy tweets? Have you no respecto for yourself? Defending someone who can't possibly be defended. Putting children in cages, separating families. Whatever happened to la familia è tutto? The family is everything. You work for un dictatore pazzo, a crazy dictator. Don't you remember what they did to El Duce in Piazzale Loreto? Do you really want to be around if history repeats itself? No amount of money is worth your soul, but I know you lost that a long time ago. You want to know something? Your truth ain't truth. In fact, truth doesn't want nothing to do with you. It never has. They may have nicknamed you America's mayor after 9/11, but you're just a circus politician with rancid snake oil to sell. The only thing I like about you is that you do drag. One thing though, Rudy. You can't walk in heels in a swamp.
Tommy had to call him Victor. This looks like Julie Patterson. Oh. Oh, so it's Jake. I thought it was an L there. Jake Patterson, come up here, the man who brought us this guitar. Give him a round, please. Sorry about that. I'm so foolish. I thought it was an L. You know.
I actually noticed the applause increased after the guitar was mentioned. But anyway, this poem's called "Ocean in Your Eyes." Wrote it a long time ago. And my phone would just scroll. I could
just get really close to the mic so we can hear you. That's all.
Don't be like a guitar player.
Okay, it's called "An Ocean in Your Eyes," and the caption is "Warning: Mushy poem ahead." So, there's an ocean in your eyes that goes on for 1,000 days. A sprawling, spraying, endless, boundless world is in your deep, dark gaze. An ocean in your eyes, and I am lost at sea. The tide I brave shoot flares and wave to thee, the sea, to notice me. An ocean in your eyes, moving mountain cities shaking. Oh, minor me, how can it be that I'm not moved too by its waking? An ocean in your eyes that only fools would set a sail, but lesser fools brave every wave when knowing what it may entail. An island in your heart, around it gales chill to the bone. Shipwrecks lie, still I must try, for you're standing there alone. An island in your heart, waves crashing down as I draw near. Risking it all, sail through them all to say to you, I'm here. An island in your heart, I claw at sand, my ship in shambles. You turn around, I lift my head. Those ocean eyes worth all the gambles. An island in your heart, collapsing at your feet. Exhausted and worn, beaten, torn, the rain comes down in sheets. Your touch is like a home. You run your fingers through my hair. Wake up and see what has to be, what home would feel like anywhere. Your touch is like a home that even far away floods memories of home's best times and makes me want to stay. Your touch is like a home. I'm home again in your embrace, your families, your Christmas trees. Your touch is a warm fireplace. Your touch is like a home. Your kiss was worth it all. Every little inch of sea to be with you, to fall. There's an ocean in your eyes. I grin as I walk by. You smile back, go on your track, not even knowing why. There's an ocean in your eyes. I glance back as you walk away. Perhaps I get my sea legs and tell you this someday. Thank you.
Jake! That's Guitar Jake, we call him. Whoa, watch out for that wall up there, I tell you. Dudumon. He is next. And then after him we have, did Edward my cue stay or he's gone?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, thank you. I couldn't, I was looking back there. So we got Ed, Dudumon, then Ed, then Shem Armini, Pasha Buford, David, Jimmy, Kathleen, Yasmin, Garrett, and Tommy, he couldn't do the second half of his closer. Then we got Nasira and Karen Melander Lagoon, who will give us a special announcement. There we go.
It might be good if you call it ceiling.
Huh?
Ah, shit! Man, you stepped in that shit, man! Ah, shit! You know what? Come! Let us go to the graveyard in time! What you bring me out here for? You know I'm scared! Look! Open it! Open the coffin! Look! You see, they don't meet on their bone! Look! Look! They work as one eye! Come! Run! Run! Ah! Let's do them on! Do them on! Do them on time! Look! Look! Look over yonder! Da! Da! Yes! Da! They call him Dummy. He walked dumb, looked dumb, even smelled dumb. One time he had a round head, you see. What you crying for? You haven't hooked up to a wagon and plowed a field a years back yonder. The year is 1909. They still plow the fields. They said, you didn't collect no cotton or tobacco? No, for locked me in a tobacco barn. The Bayou, they took their land, and you see, only thing what to do, only thing good for them, they give them smallpox blanket, and that ignorant oil, you see. Hey, dummy! Dummy! You can't get none dumber than me. I had a round head, you see, when I was born. Stood up on that side, wham! Got up on that side, wham! But you see, none dumber than me. I'm about at the dumbest you come. My kids say, you don't know what you're doing, you dummy. So I look dumb, smell dumb, walk dumb, talk dumb. Just a dummy. You see. Come, let's come, let's go, close it, close the gate, close the gate, close the gate, you see. Tudoman is my religion. Tudoman is my believing. The fish do it, the birds do it. Ah, Mother Earth, she sure knows how to do, you see. Ah, shit. It's on the bottom of my shoe. What? You stepped in it? What is it? Doodle! Oh, shit, man. Oh, man, that's some shit, man. What is it? Oh, you ever had the runs you seen? Squat. I can hold it to Chloe and Joey. Without eating green apples, they got a rush, you see. They bolted to our house. Chloe got there first and bolted the door behind her. And Joey was outside. Chloe, let me in, Chloe. There ain't nothing to it. Chloe, I'll give you a bite of my Hershey bar. No. Nature calls. Chloe and Joey. Back yonder, way back beyond the hills. They took me 2 days to get to the county seat by buckboard. We picked cotton this year. Those dumb suckers don't know anything about how to pick cotton. They tell me they grow watermelons out down in California. I went to get a watermelon and I looked at it. You ever ate a watermelon with some red inside? With me and my Uncle Paul, and my cousin Paul. We grabbed my granddaddy watermelon, and we dropped it. And Granddad caught us. Guess what he did to us? He didn't flog us. He made us eat it. Granddad, I can't eat no more. Eat my watermelon. Take one bite. It was filled. Ooh, they don't even steal watermelons out in California. That's a darn shame. My granddad, all his watermelons are prized. You see? Come. Oh, ooh. Let's go to the graveyard and die. Close the gate. Oh, yes. Oh, what you afraid of? I told you don't bring me out here. But close the gate. Close it. Close the gate of time. Thank you.
I have the honor to present the Honorable Ed Mike Hugh. And then we have Shem, our mini. And while he's coming up, I just want to, these are the last few flyers for this particular event. It's a great event. It's in Chinatown. It's August 31st, 7 p.m. It's Flower Moon Lantern Vigils. I'm just going to pass this around this way. And if you want one, take one. And he's going to honor us with his wonderful, stellar, stentorian voice. Just get really low.
Just get it.
There you go.
Richard Steger overnight had two dreams that morphed to three. But the second dream had something to do with square nails that were longer than an inch, antique, and had to be removed from the roof before moving the house. And the roof was sort of mushy, Richard recalled, so I didn't see the point of it. But I didn't see that. The first dream was of 70 suppressed books, those that had to be withdrawn from publication. No explanation of why or what they were. Richard said to me, "None of your books were on the list." I didn't know what was on the list. And that's when that's me, at Mike, you said, "Are any of my books on the list?" And then I looked, Richard said, and saw it was a suspended list for what year I don't remember, or didn't even look. And then Richard remembered. And the third dream was where he and I were playing with the baby leopard about midnight at the bus stop across the street at Gary Boulevard and Arguello Street. Richard is having fun, but also begins to worry there might be a mother leopard. That sort of thought then just set his teeth on edge. And that's the two dreams that Richard had overnight, but that morphed to three. A piece like that, you don't know if it's ended. And you don't know where in God's name it came from. Song on a Sunday. Oh, Jesus, will it all sink as sediment under shores scraped and lathered by empowered tides, with only birds on their ways in their days, that alone continue while below fish swim above our yesterday? In the fog and the rain and the wind and the sun, without anyone until time itself arrives, as earth itself fractures. Candidates for Alexander's shoes stare into futures for accidents from yesterday's tapestry, as rot eats down and seasons scatter and black mirrors in white minutes manure, or is it mature to loam? Other than this is where the sky begins to split open.
Shem Armini of the evening,
And then Pasha.
and then Pasha, and then Buford, and the amazing Tourmaline brothers. Tourmaline? I'm making that up. Thank you. There you go.
Okay, these are new. They've never been read in front of people before. So this is called Where I'm From. Where I'm from, the mountains are steep and young, fragrant red clay earth under their skin, marble and granite in their bones, gold and jade in their veins. Serpentine stone arteries break through the surface, sleek, hot, and flaking under summer footpaths, padding down to the river. Dirt road dust puffs powdery between your naked toes as you run. Gardens overflowing with abundance, the ripest tomatoes you could ever imagine. Bees buzz through blackberry brambles, snaking blue-green river flashing frothy white runs through it all. 150 years or so ago, miners came in droves, drawn in by the promise of fortune, compelled to move uncountable mountains of earth to extract a glimmering yellow substance, leaving vast expanses of exposed rock in their wake. Where I'm from, Karuk people who've been dipping their nets to catch Chinook since way back when forever first began to be pondered, still dance in sacred spaces, complete life circles, gather the universe together, make sure that there are still stars to count and forever continues to stretch out in all directions forever. But who were left no tribal lands to negotiate a shred of dignity in this world of private property that invaded them. Where I'm from, we learned to smoke pot, drink beer, chew tobacco, jump from cliffs into the river earlier than most, but the trouble we got into hardly ever involved the cops, because the constable only drove through in his pickup about once a week. Where I'm from, it is still possible to live poor with dignity if you stay humble, hardworking, and connected to your community. Out where I'm from, people are few and far between, and everybody needs everybody else. My river, the salmon, feeds into the Klamath, river held back by dams for decades, damaging watersheds and ecosystems, warm, stagnant water, plumes of toxic green algae killing off salmon, steelhead, green sturgeon, Pacific lampreys to feed the agro-industrial farms downriver. Where I'm from, the campaign against marijuana ironically made small fortunes for some, the more industrious hippies and other former ne'er-do-wells, and left others more stuck than before between the same old rocks and even harder places. As new drug money and shrinking housing stock made home security that much scarcer, and misery and methamphetamine abuse and suicide rates went up, but there are no mental health services out where I'm from. In these harder and more divided times, we need each other even more, but the ties that keep folks connected seem to be eroding like the watersheds from the clear-cut ridges and slopes just beyond the passing through tourists' eyesight. It's also a place where the word riverkeeper holds some currency, and locals are finally convincing the Forest Service to consider the efficacy of an ancient practice of prescribed burns that used to keep the forests and watersheds healthy and resilient, before the deed holders and exploiters came and spread their barbarous culture and disease and laid their waste upon these lands. It's also a place where folks, hippies, homesteaders, miners, loggers, and local tribes who have gotten to know one another and come to depend on each other over time, joined forces in recent decades, fought long and hard to remove the dams, and are finally freeing the rivers and watersheds from the concrete and steel harnesses that feed downriver factory farms, coastal towns, and cities. and it's a place where the stealth bomber jet pilots especially like to practice their moves in between those same steep young mountains. I don't know about you, but when I'm traveling north and the earthen embankments on the edge of the road turn red, I get a sweet ache in my body that tells me I am coming home again. And so some weeks back there was a theme about roller skates. And I tried to write this poem and I couldn't get it done, and I still don't think it's done, but it's more done. Okay, here it goes. It's sort of a portrait of the skyscrapers, personified. A disinterestedly Mertonian axe grinder cleaves through architectural whimsy, carefully engineered catacomb space reaching in and rising high, clawing earth and tearing sky, slow, wicked, doughy-eyed crystal gazes handed over to the tiny bankers in their guanaco cashmere vicuña blazers, standing casually or squatting or sitting ergonomically in eco-green, self-contained, microclimatic quasi-domicile, sipping triple steep green tea or a smoky Hokkaido single malt, behind the shimmering eyes of towering giants, window-walled corner offices overlooking the hubbub and the hub of the Rim City, doling out wire transfers to designer sneaker-clad Baker Beach original hedge funder burners, to glad-handing developers in monster pickup trucks, sprinkling crumbs about for the local CBOs to squabble over, to microdosing design thinker techie unicorn growers and their favorite stealthily garbed corporate restaurant groups. Tiny bankers crunching numbers deep into the nights, shining ambient lights from within these tall glasses of water, downtown damsels in rhinestone dresses, flashing waterfront and sky, disguised as futuristic ziggurats for the consecrated sorcerers of high-tech three-card money debt swaps and their destruction and disaster-hungry profit-making schemes, steel glass and poured concrete patterns cut at jaunty gravity-defying angles, helipad pillbox hats in place, flags unfurled from triumphant brows, proclaiming allegiance to the victorious. But in murky substrata lower parking lot entrails, amongst shipwrecks and landfills, shell mounds and old forgotten shorelines, lurks secret, hidden diva disco dancing dreams. These roller skaters in waiting yearn for quaking, trembling earth to test their mettle, and jam between these lovely toes that stick out just beyond their gaudy pumps, crouching under their stiletto heels, anonymous to most, but infamous to the local beat cops and fellow sneak thieves among the lower echelons of Rebel Street dwelling rabble, eating out of food pantry, supermarket, fast food, fine dining dumpsters, just enough GA and SSI to manage to get drunk and high and nod off in a back alley or an empty lot at least half the time, and then back to the hustle and grind to scrape together sufficient spare change to cop a little something to soothe and ease and hold you close in its embrace, at least enough to be able to sleep a while in these streets, living off the leftovers, strewn, tattered, and torn along gutter troughs, the lovelorn but often nonetheless still lustrous clothes and bindings of the baubled millennial hipster 20-somethings, consuming and discarding their identities as they shed their skins incessantly in their overpaid, crisis-driven metamorphoses, half-worn, abandoned shoes with no more telephone wires to hang from, half-smoked cigarette butts like shiny gold nuggets lay in wait for those who know how and where to spot a precious morsel from among the endless supply of flotsam and jetsam lying about for any layabout to pluck, ensconced in their grottos, low-slung earthquake-condemned squats, under overpasses, in sidewalk tents, camper vans and trailers, the occasional sleepover in neighborhood precinct drunk tanks, or 3 hots and a cot and a shave and a haircut and a new supply of meds at the local county jail club med. Yeah, a real Pacific Rim job, this emerald city inlaid on the ring of fire, lofty downtown ladies in their sparkly dresses who just want to show off their roller skating skills, wait for a real earthquake to come along and give them a thrill.
That's Jim! And now Pasha, who is new, please give her a rousing welcome. Come on, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoop! Is this for the guitar or for your voice?
You know what? Why don't you just lower it a little bit, and then I'm going to stand back from it. I'm just going to sing loud.
All right. Okay.
Good.
You're in there. Welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Okay, I wrote this when my assistant manager, I'm an apartment building manager. My assistant manager went back to Russia and never came back. He was supposed to, but anyway, Great guy, but I wrote this song. Running around on the town today, going down to the dock on the bay, and listen to the waves, that's all. Out here in the world makes my trouble seem small. I'm walking away and out of the neighborhood, sure can make a body feel good. I grab my coat and I'm on my way. No one can give me any of their blues today. He's been missing in action for far too long. I'm tired of hearing that same old song. He said he would be back, but he's still gone. And what I thought was true was wrong, wrong, wrong. I'm running away and I'm out of here. Hand me that pie, pass me that beer. Oh, honey, I'm on my way. So meet me at the bus stop down by the dock on the bay. Thank you. Well, I'm going to do this song. This is called Samhain Song. It's a Halloween song. It's a little bit early. But one of my old-time tenants just passed away, so this is for Richard. Time has come again.
those are yours?
Yes.
Okay, good. I want to make sure I got them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did D. Allen go?
He did that.
Okay. Richard, you knew the woman he was talking about, right? I
Yeah,
wanted.
but I don't know her full name. I can't remember her full name. She was a writer who, remember her full name?
Oh, right,
I'll write him a letter because I just wanted to get the name and have it right.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't want, because he's the one who taught me about her about 2 months ago.
Okay.
So that's why I raised my hand.
All right. Buford. And we got David, Jimmy, Kathleen, Yasmin, Garrett, Nasira, and Karen. So try to be kind with your considerations. And thank you, David. We have all these prizes to take care of. I love this evening. It's been such a great one. I mean, just like the feature knocked it out. Just like, wow. Many wows, as I like to say. Many wows. And wows to come. Unless I'm very much mistaken. Thank you, Rick. You're on.
My friend holds my heart. Technically, it was placed into my body by my parents. Their love made me come into the world. Yet, it's she who holds the key to my love. She who opens it with her caring. Once again, as I've uttered aloud to her and thought about countless times, I am swarmed with her kisses in bed and occasionally in public and in private places. She's a very private woman with beautiful eyes. I don't know where my life is going other than old age, I hope. I cling to her, trying not to cling too hard. A little lighter. Baseball or poetry? Baseball or poetry, what's best? How about both? Baseball's played well. Poetry too, if it's written with attention to subject and enough syntax to make sense. That's not true with people like Gertrude Stein, who was brilliant without syntax. But it's usually emotional, at least for me. To me, basically, baseball is poetry if played well. I read an article in the San Francisco Examiner this morning that stated that former MVP Buster Posey was not as prevailing as he used to be. He's a lock for Cooperstown as far as I'm concerned. I have been published often, and sports writers really grab my interest. I try to write every day, and sometimes I write about baseball. Poetry and baseball are my major obsessions.
David? David Golub? Yes, hi. It's all right. Golub. Throw a nice round. He hasn't been here in a long time. We like this voice.
I'm going to read 3 haiku. Des Moines haiku. The wine glass I left out on the sidewalk last night has filled up with snow.
Oh, yeah.
Shakedown Street haiku. Giant bubbles drift past the flag at half-mast. Gray September grows chill.
Nice.
And this is my first new poem in a year. Rose Street haiku. Late August light. Sun settles below the front house. I stand up stiffly.
Thank you. That's David Golub, ladies and gentlemen, from the East Bay. Well known, regarded. We haven't seen him in a long time. Jimmy, bo, bimmy, bonana, bana, po, bimmy, beep, ba, bo, mim. Remember the name game? Anybody remember that? Thank you. Name game. But who sang it?
Yeah. Okay, good.
Barbara, give
How's
us the
this mic?
first
Oh, it's
name.
good.
Thank you.
Barbara.
Love this mic.
Come on.
Barbara Lee? No, not Barbara Lee. Forget it. I can't remember.
Wondering, worried, working, writing, wounded woman kind of person. Psyche miles away if you look away. Post, tick, hush. Mysterious quality, deli, shush. Meme for you to dream by. Don't grip too hard or lean on. Poet, lodge, rape, pet, or pest. Mathematician resemblance of your past income branch. This one knows her craft. Not bad to look at, meretricious to our trance. She likes to put a bit of rhythm in the rhyming. Triptych, a lemon in the rye. Too smart for A-line, A-bomb, MPH, or RPMing. Her society sad song singing. Old Lang Synes in summer. To straight A, type A, awful dogs. US of A-holes who hurt the girl. Hurt her bad. Made her jumpy round me, but never that sad. My God, what's up with this? Oh. Computer glitch. No.
Computer glitch.
I wish it was you might think. But anyway, page 2 was blank, and now here's page 2. When she played with any child, always glad, her words were children's in her ear, bird-like free, like rolling stones, her and me, cheating gravity, running only for the glee. Kids be jumpy too, a jumpin' jamboree. She pray every day for the poor, like me, for jubilee that cometh nigh to her. Sky so fly, bird-like, she tosses only one bye-bye. The babies cry. I wish I knew where next she would try. P.S. She was the perfect poet, the missionless muse. She made me think, if there were only women, we la femme non l'homme, would there be religion? Would there be war? This constant quest for more? Ad esse, ad hominem, gloriam, feminam, hawk, and a hawk in a flock. She was capricious, overdrinker, whose word was good to the last drop. I will be your travesty, we said to each other. I will be your leader, loser, slave. I will be your knave. We're promised. I will worship you for the life you gave to me. If you sin, I will never tell your God on you. I'm your ally. I'm your other mother, father too, strident, student, mentor, friend for you. I will never crawl for you. I will go down on my knees for you. Your slightest whim is my command. I expect the same. I will never ask. P.P.S. She was one or the other, another promising mother. We came together more than sister, bud, or brother. We were different. They were all the same. We touched hands and like snowflakes melted together. Millions of us now, falling in a drop down the spout. Always told her she wanted out. What if I reminded her of family? I muse now upon my muse. The only one she never knew was self. What could I do? They came to me in flocks of falling snowflakes, always joyous, so good in their hot sum. I, by myself, in life, could never explain this kind of run.
Jimmy!
Kathleen?
Kathleen, I made a minor mistake. I thought, never mind. Kathleen, you're next, and Yasmin is after Kathleen. And then we got Garrett, Sarah, Karen, and then Bob Dylan. That didn't get a laugh. Okay, never mind. Not Bob Dylan. See what I care.
Thank you.
Standing out there in the taxi cab. Thank you,
Okay,
Kathleen.
this one's called Retrospect. There's a purity into being on the outside, looking into that endless party, to wandering through stores all afternoon, fantasizing about all the things you'd buy if only you had money. A purity to being that young and that lonely for hours in Haight Street cafes, nursing one cup through endless refills, and feeling you'll die from the pain of watching that unreachable girl in vintage black lace, or that boy with the white blonde mohawk. You read Mademoiselle because you don't yet know that hipsters don't do aerobic dancing. There's a purity in this. The trouble is you can't appreciate it until years later when you're damn sick and tired of being charming, cool, and corrupt.
Damn sick and tired.
And this was written back in the 80s around Christmas time. It's called Beauty. You're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, they say, and I walk the streets and ride the BART train and browse the cheap Mission retail stores. And what I think is, oh God, how ugly that one is. And look at the blemishes on that one. And that one's been living on Big Macs and cheap wine every day for a decade. And look at the teeth on that one. This one's healthy, but she's probably just 16 and she looks so uptight. She'd probably commit suicide if you smiled at her. That one's cute, but she's probably a junkie. And so is he. Why is it that I'm always attracted to junkies? On mission, a really malnourished Latin guy goes, hey baby, what's your name? You're so sexy. No expression on my face, eyes hard. Get fucked, I say. I think he's grinning, but I won't look at him because I want to see something beautiful. And the only beautiful things are the Christmas lights, and they don't even have souls. The people are tense. The people don't eat right. The people are not happy. The people crowd into BART cars as homeless hack musicians twang out Silent Night on badly tuned guitars. Just a little money for a cup of coffee. I'm cold. I have a cold. I'm hungry. I'm not healthy. I'm not pretty. I exist. Notice me. What do you want me to play? The junkies don't care about Christmas. The junkies are dying, but they only notice they're dying when they're jonesing. I want to fuck all the junkies, but if I do, I'll die. I'm dying anyway. I'm not healthy. I look tired. And it's not, the slobs on Mission Street don't notice. Hey sexy, old flabby sunken eyes. Hey mamacita, suck me, you know how to do it. I see a pretty healthy girl approaching and venture a smile. She doesn't smile back. Pretty girls hardly ever smile back. It's not safe. You must understand it's not just me. We're all really scared. There's so few of us and the people are hungry. The people aren't happy. They're dying. We're all dying. So.
Wow.
Now Yasmin will kindly come up and she is present from the novel. Give her a nice round, please. Next up, we have Barrett, Nasira, and Karen. And then these fabulous prizes designed with your mind in mind.
Thank you. The three top, just to piggyback on the earlier reading, Mission Street, three top countries for the maximum inequality and income are Greece, which is broke, Spain, which is almost broke, and the United States of America. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Largest number of adults live in poverty. So this is from a section in my novel which deals with serfdom, and when farmers could not pay in cash, they had to pay in kind, in produce, otherwise the land was taken away. It still goes on. It hasn't changed that much. Not just in India, but everywhere. Grandmother said father owned 500 mango trees in Oshi, where we were going. Her words broke off with the rocking motion of the bullock cart in which we sat. Father, mother, and sister went ahead of us in the car. Grandmother said she would go only by bullock cart. We cheered when father placed us on the hay in the cart. We sat up on the wooden rail from which we saw the animal's hump moving under his skin as the pole on his back shifted from side to side. We huddled at dusk, imagining the tigers lurching from the jungles enveloping us. We begged grandmother for more stories which kept us awake in the nights. They were like magic powder which kept us awake while we slept, like mangoes which we wanted but would not touch because of the cobras which lurked behind them. Stories, you ask? Her voice was the scratchy gramophone. All of my life is a story. And you dataheads, you learn nothing from the life in the city of machines. Can you think in a compartment with speeds faster than your thoughts? She cursed father for his cow. At dusk, the village of Oshi woke to the sound of bullock carts while grumbling over the dirt road. Children ran out from the huts. Men dropped their sticks to the ground, and women bowed as grandmother rolled by, sitting on the outer corner of the bullock cart. They ran into their huts and came out with lanterns which they held up in the air as they followed the cart. The procession grew larger. They stopped outside the only house in the village. It sat at the foot of the hill surrounded by trees which shaded the horizon. A man ran from the house with a lantern. He stood on the steps of the house. "Is your health okay?" He bent low as he spoke. He scurried about as grandmother rose. "What are you watching?" He shooed the procession like crows. "Don't you see? Dadima is here. Go on, you nincompoops. Get your bags, light the candles. Come in, Dadima. The house is as it should be." They lifted us out of the cart, their hands smelling of kerosene. They took us inside, where they had spread mattresses of hay on the cow-dung floor of the front room. They took off their shoes and sat on their haunches around grandmother as she rested on the mattress. They smiled in the mellow light, their teeth hardly visible against the amber whitewashed walls of the room. The others would arrive the next day. Grandmother told them when they inquired about Baba Sahib. The keeper of the house scattered them into the streets when grandmother yawned. "Can't you see, you blind bats, how tired?" Dadima raised her hand to them as they left the room, not turning their backs at the door. The next morning they greeted her the same way as they arrived, with jute bags on their backs. They placed the weighted sacks against the wall of the room. Grandmother sat in the middle of the room on a solitary mattress left on the floor. She had risen early, rising us with neem sticks, which she made us suck. "Better than the porcupines you use," she said, putting away our toothbrushes. She oiled our hair before we bathed outside on the wet soil, watching us pour water over us in brass tumblers. "Under your thighs," she said, "you cannot hide dirt from an old woman." We sparkled in the morning sun and watched the men empty the bags on the floor of the room, the seeds black and brown as they spilt in streams which flooded into the corners of the room. They laid them into mounds, the rice seeds, picking up the color of rainbow as they were scooped in brass tumblers and measured into the iron pan of the weigh scale in front of grandmother. The keeper wrote in big book while the shrill cry for another man announced the number of tumblers measured. The count kept up through the morning until grandmother tired. One of the men sat shivering in the corner. He huddled next to the smallest mound. They dragged him out and held his neck before grandmother. "This year too, he cannot make his rent," the man who held his hair said. "What shall we do with his land? If Dadabai was here, he would not have done this. He wouldn't have had the guts. What shall we do with him?" the others asked grandmother. Thank you.
Eric Murphy, and then Nasira, and then Karen, our ultimate presenter of the evening before these fancy, wonderful prizes, like I say, designed with your mind. Give him a round, please. Always wonderful. We gotta go hop on mine. There we go. Perfect. Amundo.
Just want to do one piece, very short piece tonight. It's called Truth plus Self Equals. Be true to yourself, good people. Listen to yourself, good people. Be true to yourself, good people. If more you did that, crime just might drop its jaw.
Wow. I always love that. Nasira? There she is. And then Karen. Thank you, Nasira. Glad to see you. And like we like to say, don't hold back. I mean, what good would it do anyway?
How's everybody?
Pretty good.
Medium rare.
I'm mellow.
I like that. I'm gonna steal that medium rare. Okay, this is still a little too high. Is this? It won't go lower?
Oh yeah, we can.
Is that? I mean, I guess it is kind of like right.
Yeah, just go. It's like it's right
Gotta be
matching.
straight
your
ahead
line.
because it's not it's directional.
Okay.
That's the only problem.
Can you guys hear me good?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What?
Alright. I wish you would stop calling me and following me and blowing up my phone. Right now, I just want to be alone. Be alone with my thoughts, alone with my sins. Think about you a little bit, maybe even grin. What do you do when you spend countless time with a person that fails to tell you that they're married? He wines and dines and finds the time to do any and everything you ask him to do. Betrayal. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you invest time in someone so hollow. You're my angel, oh angel. Love me now or I'll go crazy. Oh, sweet thing, don't you know you're my everything? This is no ordinary love, no ordinary love. Just some old tunes we used to listen to while we picnic and watch the sunset. We laugh until our stomachs hurt and watch the dogs play in the dirt. It's such a good learning experience. Took me a few days to get it together. I was down in the dumps. As time goes on, I watch the ocean sway, thankful to God he saved me from your lies. I think to myself, how did I allow a fool to make me cry? It took some time, I must admit. You sent me a picture the other day, and that's when it hit. You ain't shit. What the fuck is wrong with me? Please stop calling me, following me, and blowing up my phone. I just want to be alone. That's it.
Karen. Oh, okay.
Oh, wait a minute, it's the other Karen.
Oh, the other Karen.
How
many Karens are there?
17,453, but we don't count the other 17,452.
This is it. I want to thank everybody for sticking around. You know, I mean, it's so easy just to leave after you've said your piece, right? And anyway, so thank you very much for being here. And Dan set the tenor kind of for my deciding to do this, Sistina, when he did the Berm of Palestine, and which meaning he was talking about the wall, he was talking about a lot of things, but you probably know that every night, as far as I know, children actually wind up in Israeli prisons. And we know recently of this woman whose brother, I guess, was killed by an Israeli soldier, and when she was being forced to, or not allowed to go into her own home, she slapped a soldier and wound up in prison for quite a long time. So it comes under a kind of a backdrop of all this. Upon my table lies a rose, impervious to all and safe, while roses in Israeli cells alive and breathing may be raped. As judges say in dulcet tones, perhaps they like it, no one knows. A girl who slaps a soldier knows she may be trampled as a rose, imprisoned fearing dulcet tones of guards with whom she is not safe, from whom she fears she may be raped in prison yards or prison cells. A child kept jailed in Israel's cells may find no respite, for she knows behind those bars she may be raped or scratched with thorns, herself a rose. Tender and sweet, she is not safe and only fears all clanging tones of prison cells, and human tones she hears amid the songs of cells where she knows she is never safe to rest she knows, nor sing sweet songs, herself that rose, condemned to fear she may be raped. Cries loud for fear she may be raped, sings out with anguish fearful tones, longing to be a girl, a rose, untouched, unsullied in those cells where she can hope her mother knows that where she is not safe. And where she is and is not safe, where she fears she may be raped, she only hopes her mother knows and sings out loud in frightened tones, alone in those Israeli cells she may become a trampled rose. She sees herself a tender rose, beloved, kissed, embraced, and safe, away from ugly prison cells where she might fear she may be raped, but somewhere where her girlish tones may show all what her mother knows, where she may be that girl she knows, seen by her mother as a rose, allowed to sing her girlish tones, allowed to rest and to be safe, far from a place she may be raped, far from those ugly prison cells. Sweet rose hears tones in cruel cells, reminders that she may be raped, where she knows she is never safe. Are you all, thank you. That was a sestina +2, if you were counting verses. I did 8 because of the incongruity of rape. And I don't know if we don't do sestinas here very often, but I'm doing another one, which is lighter. This is very light. This I did in front of a coffee shop, called the Sestina of Blue Shoes. Sestina, how many of you know the form for sestina? I'm not going to go into it now, but anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
The girl's new blue shoes emulate the sky. She hops upon them, laughing at the birds, who seem quite undisturbed by her quick steps, discussing with their songs which tree to seek or where to peck among the cracked gray tiles beneath the hopping toddler's blue-clad feet. Upon the toddler's tiny tapping feet, the blue shoes place patches of sky on cracked and rocky, awkward, rough-hewn tiles beneath the conversations of the birds, who peck continuously as they seek for seeds and crumbs that scatter from her steps. And dancing with her dainty bouncing steps, she marvels at the quickness of her feet that turn and twist and twirl as they seek to please their only audience, the sky, or just perhaps the fluttering, swooping birds who hover over child and shoes and tiles. And hovering over shoes and child and tiles, the sky observes the birds making quick steps, and noting the sweet prancing of the bird, she sees a dance oblivious of feet, and laughs at sun and blue and cloudless sky, herself the sky, herself the joy they seek. And in the joy of blue and blue they seek, the scratching of the rough and cracking tiles becomes a whirring breathlessness of sky, embracing all the scene and all its steps. The toddling princess, blue shoes on her feet, waves happily and proudly at the birds. The sky observes sweet steps and feet with birds who chatter back at the young friend they seek, and seek to chatter at her blue-clad feet, dancing and prancing on the rough-hewn tiles, blue shoes and chubby legs making quick steps, a minuet of blue in bluer sky. And toddling princess laughs up at the sky and at the birds whose feet make such quick steps as they seek but to dance upon the tiles.
Well done.
So, thank you, everybody. Anybody who wants to speak at the 100,000 Poets for Change, that is the 29th. It is at the Beat Museum, unless this changes. The Beat Museum has given us a 1 hour from 12 to 1, so I'm thinking everybody could say a poem. So if you want to do that, if you want to let me know, you can, my website is www.karenmn.com. And that's probably the best way to let me know, but you can come anyway. It's on the 29th, Beat Museum, 12 noon. And anybody who comes in there with a poem, I'm going to try to make sure you at least get one poem in, okay? So I hope you can be there the 29th, 100,000 Poets for Change. It's the 5th year we've done it.
September 29th.
Yes.
9/29.
September 9/29.
I'm gonna be there.
And Dan's gonna do it, and Sandrell, and it's I think the 5th year that I've been doing it, been trying to get people together for it. We've done it at the Unitarian Church, we've done it at the Beat Museum. This is the first time we only have 1 hour, but hey.
And that it's flexible. We
Yeah,
find
it's flexible. It's because the Beat Museum is having a poetry festival at the same time. That's why they had to squeeze us into that hour. But it's very gracious of them to allow us that hour. I feel like I've been writing a Sistina about that hour. Okay. What time is it? It's at 12
to 12 noon. I'm going to go over the prizes. It's the 29th. I can't remember. I'm going to go over the prizes really quickly. Prince and the Pauper. North Beach, yes. Prince and the Pauper. North American Indian Design coloring book. 2 recorders. Clean them. I mean, I washed them and did stuff, but do double on it. I only did a little bit of bleach and water and soap and stuff, but do more. MC Escher's Visions of Symmetry. Triumph of the Hero.